Hello, hello. I'm turning this lovely cargo trailer into a tiny house on wheels. Today, I'm showing you how I installed a diesel heater into it. Let's go. So the unit I chose is a Vevor diesel heater, which is, if you don't know Vevor, it's just like some Chinese company. And it seems like a pretty solid product, and it was like $100. So that's what I went with. This is the diesel heater I bought. Pretty cool. Came with an external tank, so I got the one with the external tank. Nice 10 liter, which I think is like 2 gallons. Probably just going to show you guys all the parts right now, and then fast forward to when it's freaking on. So this is the heater itself, and that looks pretty nice. Cold air goes in one side, hot air comes out the other. This is the fuel pump. Put that right there. And then in the goodie bag, we got fuel line, which I hope is long enough. Exhaust heat shielding. Instructions, probably gonna use those. We got some type of duct. Cool. All sorts of hose clamps, zip ties, a fuel strainer. This probably goes to the end of the exhaust or something, or the intake. We got more air duct. This is probably the exhaust pipe. A tiny cute little muffler. Mounting plate. A rogue bolt, and the wires, and a little key fob, little screen controller key fob action. What's this last bit? It's like a little vent. All right, let's do it. Oh yeah, and here's the plan. So this is where my couch is going to be. I just got these sliders installed. I'm going to wait to do the boards until I get the diesel heater done. My plan is for the heater to go right about here, or maybe probably here. These are my DC cables, so those will be tucked behind. And then I want the hot air to have a duct that just blows straight out into the cabin. And then I'm also going to have a side duct that goes down into the water tank box right here. Oh my god, it's freezing in there. Desperately needs some heat down there. So for the diesel tank, I just installed 3 plus nuts in the appropriate pattern for the tank. This one is in the steel beam, and then these 2 are just in the aluminum sheet metal. It's pretty thin, but I think it'll be fine. So the instructions for installing this nozzle. You drill a hole right here, and you have to get this nozzle in from this side, from the inside. So I used a spare cable I had, and I just spent a little time and got it to fish out through this end. So let's see if this even works at all. Oh, if I can get this to be a nice tight fit, then I can just pull it all the way back through. Yeah, that feels relatively solid. I feel like this might be a win. Okay. Oh, huge win. Look at that. And then you just take the O-ring that goes in the bottom and the nut. Try our best not to push this back in. And yeah, so that little fitting just leaked everywhere and didn't work. So I ended up going with a whole new custom gas can, which was a way better solution. Just finished taking a couple core samples of the trailer to inspect the materials through the depth of it. The top surface is a nice vinyl sheet, and then directly underneath that we have a thin piece of 3/8 plywood. When I dug a little deeper, I found this EPS insulation that the whole saw kind of just disintegrates it. Stuff's gross. Next layer down, XPS. This was the deep insulation. And then finally, 3/4 inch plywood with a nice waterproof coating on the bottom. And that's what we got on the core of the trailer. All right, all the doodads on the heater hooked up. We got exhaust pipe, air intake for burning, and then my gas line. This is the fuel pump. Just mounted it straight to the 80/20 back there. We got 80/20 here. Yeah, gas line goes in there, intake, exhaust. And this is exhaust for the air that goes into the cabin. This is intake for that air. So after filming that segment, I fired this thing up and immediately had an issue where I was getting a weird smell and some smoke inside the trailer. Yeah, turns out the exhaust was melting my insulation on its way through the floor. This left me with two solutions. Option one is they make heat-proof flanges that can go through walls and stuff that you run your exhaust through. This is what I should have done from the start, probably, but you have to drill a much bigger hole, and I don't really have that much space and didn't want to drill a huge hole in my floor. And also, this whole situation kind of spooked me in terms of like getting fumes in my trailer. So I decided to go with option two, which is just to mount the diesel heater on the outside. So starting from scratch with the mounting, and I'll show you that. So this is my new diesel heater location here on the driver's side of the trailer. Just installed these L brackets. They're steel, super strong, definitely not going anywhere. 2 riv nuts per usual in each. Had to trim this one down to fit above the fender, as you can see. 80/20 in between them. Diesel heater slots right into this. Not bad. This is my box. Not done yet, but that will be the protection for it. Okay, I think I figured out the diesel heater inlet and outlet. So behind my couch, I just drilled this gross looking hole, kind of hacked away the insulation, drilled the hole where I think it should be. And this flange right here is gonna go just like that. Okay, I gotta trim away the insulation a little bit more. But yeah, you get the idea. It's gonna sit in there and get screwed in. I'm gonna do another one right there. And then, let me run it out over here. This is that flange. And this is the heater. So then I'm gonna connect this up with this elbow to the intake, straight out of the flange. Seal this up, of course, so it doesn't leak in. And then on this side, I'm gonna do the other one. And I'm gonna use this hose that it came with, because I need to get the length just right to get around the steel beams. So that's my plan. So this is my diesel heater box. I just got the holes drilled in the sheet metal box. Basically, I drilled these holes first, put this up here, went inside, drew the holes in Sharpie on the back side of this, made sure it was all centered, and got those drilled. And then what I just did here is I installed some pop rivets. I just did one on each side to hold it together. And now I'm gonna do a few more. These are the pop rivets. They're just little rivets. So yeah, basically just bent up a piece of sheet metal, did some rivets, and we're making a box. Let's see how it goes. Check this out. So this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. It's not done, even though it looks done. But I just made this cute little hat from my box. It's just a piece of sheet metal. I gotta tear it off now. But it's literally just sheet metal with a 1-inch lip, crudely folded up around every size, folded to fit on here. I got this little plate installed, so my heater mounts to that. These are roughly lined up, so I gotta get everything screwed in, glued in, sealed up. Gotta get the ducts in, gotta do holes for the electrical and diesel fuel. Got a lot more to do, but the cap is ready. All right, the heater's in. I honestly don't remember what my last video update was, but I got the flanges installed with the sealant. I kind of glued them in. These screws are kind of beat. Only like one of them on each side has threads, but I glued them in with a good adhesive sealant, so it should be good. I got these two holes here. There's one there and one, well, that green line's going into one you can't see, but I set up grommets in those for my fuel lines. This is my fuel pump, so the fuel's gonna come up from the bottom through this hole. It's gonna go through my pump, and then it's gonna go down the other hole, and it's right here. It's gonna come out this hole, see, 2 holes, and then it goes in that barb. I also had a great idea over here. Well, first of all, this tape's here just because the elbows weren't the right size. They were literally like the same outside diameter, which means they can't like slide into each other. So I just taped them up with some insulation tape. Hopefully that's fine. Feels pretty solid, honestly. Gonna do the same thing here. These ones, these fit, but I need some tape to hold it. Had a great idea where I drilled a few holes to make a little slot in this flange, and then I just decided to run my wires right through the cold air intake. Seems like a perfectly acceptable thing to me. It's just gonna be room temperature air blowing through there, and it's already a waterproof sealed way into the trailer. And like, this is a whole freaking wiring harness with this big plug on it, and there's plugs on all the other sides of everything. So I would have had to drill like a massive hole and then somehow seal it if I was gonna do it like anywhere over here. So I was like, all right, use the intake. That's where we're at. Progress update. Got my fuel pump mounted. Intake's all taped up, wired up. And I got my output hot air pipe all clamped together. It's a flexible hose. Goes over the flange and the outlet with hose clamps. And down here, I got my diesel line hooked up and my exhaust routed. So let me show you that. Comes straight out of my box into my fender. And it will go out right there, right underneath my fender. Nice and protected. Far enough away from the tires, I think. There should be plenty of room there. I had to take this tire off to drill this hole. Wheel, sorry, I had to take the wheel off. So yeah. And there's the intake. That black hose right there with the intake. Just tried to keep the exhaust and intake as far away from each other as possible. And check it out. This is a fully functioning diesel heater. We got hot air coming out here and going into the trailer. Pretty sweet. The pump's ripping. It's got a bunch of air in the line right now, but it's blowing heat. It's mostly working with diesel, getting all the bubbles out of there. I just ran the hose this morning. So that's this hose that comes from the tank. It goes straight up in there and connects to the pump right over there. I'll show you what I did with the tank. Essentially, this hose goes under the trailer. It runs all the way through here. It changes color at some point and turns white. And it comes out here, and it goes up to my jerry can. I'm not sure how much I showed you in the last video, but I had to get rid of the plastic diesel tank that came with the diesel heater. That was mounted here, and it was leaking. So that's why I got rid of it. The fitting was on the bottom, and like the seals just weren't good enough. There's diesel coming out, and it was spilling down the side of the trailer. So anyway, this is a bigger tank, so that's good. Plus it's made of metal, and I put the fittings on the top. So this is where the diesel's getting drawn from, and this is actually a pickup tube. So it's a tube that goes all the way to the bottom. So it picks up from the bottom of the tank, goes to here, and with the seals at the top, then it's never gonna leak. I mean, unless my trailer's upside down, which hopefully won't happen. And so I actually took the fitting out of the plastic tank that I got rid of, and I installed it right here. And that's just the vent. So you can see that tube just ends right there. And yeah, there's the cap. I can just fill this thing up at a gas station pretty easily. And so yeah, now that the hose is connected, this is not really a mobile jerry can. It's kind of going to stay there permanently. But that's fine. I can just fill it up with the gas tank right there. And so that's that's where we're at with that. Check this out. Got my heater air duct kind of routed. Then this black duct is my hot air. And it's going down to this Y splitter. And essentially, I'm gonna have a one of these shut-off valves on this side. So this side is gonna be routed through this board straight into the cabin. So that's where the main heat for the cabin goes. Then I'm gonna be able to shut that on and off. So if I shut it off, it'll push the air down into the water tank box. And that's just, what can we see? That's just what that looks like up there. A mess of tape, because I didn't really have a good way to secure it, so it's kind of just taped on there. But it seems to be working. It's on right now. Got a lot of temperature coming out of there, so pretty sick. So there I am trying to stay warm in my trailer one day, running my heater. I noticed that air just wasn't coming out of my air duct. And lo and behold, the plastic flange that I installed on the side of the trailer melted and collapsed on itself, blocking the opening. Very frustrating, but the solution was pretty straightforward. I just am going with aluminum flanges now. I kind of forgot to film it yesterday because it was freaking so cold and so windy when I was doing this. But I got this all finished up. This is now a metal flange. It's just aluminum, and there's two of them. I've got one flange that points out and one flange that points in, so that I get a nice solid clamp on this side, same thing on the other side. And actually both flanges were installed from this side. So you can see, like, this is both flanges right here. I put one in that way, and then just sealed this surface of water. Next step, this is my hatch door that I'm standing on. I got all the lines drawn to do the cutouts. So I'm gonna cut some holes in that, and then I'm gonna fit that right there. And I'm gonna have a nice little heated box down here for my water. And I made a hatch door. Just did some cutting out of this piece of wood, and then I put on these little edges so it doesn't fall through. Just 2 edges is plenty. I made it pretty undersized, so there's little gaps around, so it's easy to get, it's easy to take in and out if you ever need to access down there. I'll probably seal up those gaps with something, actually, just some insulation tape or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It just kind of fits right in, no problem. So this is going to act as the bottom of this storage area. So this is going to be, I don't know, clothes, linens, gear, whatever is all going to go in here under the couch. So that's why this has a nice solid base. So now nothing should fall through. Here we can see my second hatch door. Made this one out of 1/2-inch thick XPS insulation foam because it doesn't have to hold anything on it. Kind of a hack job, just kind of made a piece that fit in there and shoved it in there. So yeah, hopefully that works. And you can see here, this is my diesel heater hot air output. Got a little flange output thing that can close and open with a little knob on the back. And that is how I installed my diesel heater. Toss me a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content, and I'll be coming out with more videos soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.